Hi, I'm Jennell Evans, co-founder of Strategic Interactions. And in this video, I'd like to share with you 5 things that emotionally smart leaders do to disarm difficult people. And when I say emotionally smart, of course, I'm really talking about leaders who have high emotional intelligence, or EQ, as it's sometimes referred to. Every office will have a difficult person in its midst from time to time, right? People who consciously or unconsciously seem to create havoc wherever they show up. And if you're a leader, you may be dealing with a team member right now who you might categorize as being difficult. We're still in a global pandemic, stress levels are high, and sometimes people are not able to show up as their best selves. But if you don't have a difficult person on your team right now, let me reassure you that at some point in your career, you probably will encounter someone that you might describe that way. So why is this important to know how to do? Why do we need to disarm difficult people? Well, maybe that seems obvious, but it's really important to know what to do when facing this kind of situation, because difficult people can be a source of tremendous stress that can impact your health and the productivity and the morale of your entire team, sometimes the entire company. I've seen that happen. Now, chronic stress is a real threat to your success, because when stress gets out of control, the quality of your life really does diminish. Your health suffers. Sometimes, you'll have new symptoms like high blood pressure or insomnia because you're so worried about what's going on with how this individual is impacting everything. Heart issues and even your relationships can suffer if you find yourself really tense and agitated and frustrated about what to do with this difficult person, right? So having to manage challenging people affects your energy, obviously your productivity and your mood. And on top of everything, I guarantee you, your team is watching you very carefully as to how you handle this person that is creating a lot of disruption, and maybe frustration for all members of your team. So they're learning from you. How do you handle this, right? They're watching to learn. Now, being able to manage difficult people really begins with learning how to take care of yourself. Okay, that starts, I always say leadership starts within. And this absolutely, you have to be able to take good care of yourself to manage yourself and anyone else. But you have to be able to manage your emotions and how you respond when trying to have a positive influence on someone deemed difficult. Emotionally smart leaders do a better job at managing their emotions and stress in general. According to Talent Smart, which is a company that actually develops a lot of EQ assessments and products and books, their research says that with more than 1 million people, they found that 90% of top performers were skilled at managing their emotions in times of stress in order to remain calm and in control. Successful leaders with high EQ have effective ways of handling demanding, disrupting employees. So, in this video, I want to share 5 things that I know that they do because I've seen it. And this is really sort of a collection of themes from my work with leaders who are doing a great job at disarming difficult people. And they have high EQ because I've worked with them and I know that that exists. So I want to share what they're doing. And again, my intention in sharing this is to give you some strategies that then you can use when you have situations where you're having to deal with problematic people. All right, so I want to go through these 5 strategies. The first one is this: emotionally smart leaders prioritize self-care and mindset rituals. They're going to take care of themselves mentally, emotionally, and physically. And one of the best ways to stay calm and centered and able to handle toxic people is to really take good care of yourself. Because if you're not okay, you're not going to have everything that you need to be able to do this, right? If you're in a weakened state, if you're emotionally distraught, if you're physically exhausted. So it's really important that you do things like eat well, exercise, get enough sleep, right? In addition, spending time every day intentionally reducing stress is a big part of the self-care that I'm talking about. And that might be through exercise or yoga or meditation or walking in nature, whatever works for you. But you want to make sure that you're doing something every day to keep stress from building up. then that will help increase your ability to be in control of your own emotions when trying to manage tough, often emotional situations with other people. Mindset rituals too also help, like really focusing on what's going right in your life and celebrating that, and writing that down in a journal, to practicing gratitude, which is a very powerful mindset ritual to keep you focused on all that is good and right in your life, despite this difficult person that's creating some problems right now. And that fortifies your mental fitness to help you better manage all kinds of conflicts. Right, so that's the first one. The second strategy is that emotionally smart leaders own their emotional home. So we don't control, anyone else in life, right? We only control ourselves and how we respond to others. So emotionally smart leaders do not let other people steal their state of being, their happiness, their joy, their mood, their energy, or what I like to call our emotional home. They also know how to establish healthy boundaries, and they don't let others' behaviors impact their self-worth. I've actually seen that happen where someone is so disruptive that the leaders begin to doubt their own competencies. So doing this can be challenging when you're having to respond to negative encounters with others. However, the self-care and the mindset rituals in the first strategy really help fortify their resolve to be able to maintain their emotional home and respond to difficult people the way that they want to, the way that these leaders want to show up. They are committed to being their best. They want to optimize and to be really the best leader possible. So they're very mindful of how they're showing up. What is their emotional home as they take on having conversations even with difficult people? They want to show compassion. They want to show empathy. They want to demonstrate patience as well. The third strategy is that emotionally smart leaders redirect attention to problem solving. I happen to love this. I've seen people do it. It can be magical in certain situations. So instead of getting caught up in the drama that a difficult person can generate, emotionally smart leaders know that redirecting the focus of whatever the issue is back to the person by asking him or her, how would you like to help solve this problem? Giving them some ownership to co-problem solve whatever their situation is can be very effective. So this redirection of attention can often put a stop to just unproductive conflicts or unwarranted criticism. So giving a disgruntled person an opportunity to help solve a problem can sometimes expand their perspective, their awareness, and really minimize potential misunderstandings. The fourth strategy is that emotionally smart leaders hold people accountable. And this is very, very powerful. And you may have experienced this yourself if you've been in the workplace for some time. When it doesn't happen, it can be very frustrating. So emotionally smart leaders know how important it is to have a consistent approach when it comes to how people are held accountable, particularly if their behavior is negatively impacting others, say on the team. So it's critically important that leaders do this because how they handle such situations is being observed by everybody else on the team and maybe off the team as well. So if toxic, negative, disruptive behavior is perceived somehow as acceptable, it will cause so much destruction. It will demotivate others on the team and it will create even more problems. I have personally seen this destroy teams and parts of companies where there was just a different approach for different people. And people will leave a company if they think others, especially those who are causing problems, are treated somehow special and not held accountable for their behaviors. They ask themselves, why should I bother to be a great employee when this person is getting away with bad behavior over and over and over? The fifth and final strategy I want to share with you is this: emotionally smart leaders master emotional triggers. So one of the most important emotional intelligence competencies is emotional self-control. So difficult people can often do or say something that triggers even the calmest, most centered, emotionally intelligent leader on the planet. Being triggered is akin to suddenly having an emotional response to something that a person does or says, and we catch ourselves like before, hopefully, before we do or say anything. We're like, whoa, what is happening, right? We almost, it's a physical and emotional and mental response. So the first step here is to be aware of what your triggers are. An example might be punctuality is a core value for you. You get triggered when people show up late. I mean, that's just one example, right? Just so you know what it is, so then you can better manage it. The second step is when triggered, just take some deep breaths. Don't do anything. Take a few deep breaths before you avoid the trap of overreacting and responding on autopilot. Okay, so instead, you just want to pause and think very intentionally how you want to respond rationally when dealing with potentially an irrational person, right? So here is the good news. So those are the 5 strategies. Here's the good news. Every leader can develop their emotional intelligence, their EQ, and to the levels of strengths where it can definitely help you manage these types of difficult folks or situations, right? And it's optimal for you to have kind of a baseline of what your strengths and your weaknesses are when it comes to emotional intelligence. And it can be measured. Companies like Talent Smart have tools that I use that are great to help you get that baseline. Then you can develop a plan and figure out, okay, where am I already really strong and where are the areas that I want to develop? So I've got more tolerance. I've got more patience. I'm able to be more in control of my emotions when handling difficult people. So having high emotional intelligence is a huge advantage when it comes to managing people who don't always bring positive intent or positive energy into the workplace. So if you want to know more about how I help leaders do this every week, increase their EQ, increase their ability to disarm difficult people, you can just send me a message here. It's in the description of the video, and we can set up a call and I can explain to you how I actually do this. So I'll close this video with a quote from Dr. Wade Goodall, who is an American author, I think of like 14 books. It isn't stress that makes us fall. It's how we respond to stressful events. Take care.